Hey, it's Marty, and I'm going to walk through the KNIME workflow for our team's financial analytics project. Are you ready? Let's do it. In this first section here, we set a bunch of flow variables, mainly flow variables for paths. That's why we convert this all to paths down here. Because this workflow is going to need to know paths for a lot of things. Where the raw files are, where we export clean data after pre-processing, where the results are exported, and a whole lot of other stuff. And all these paths are automatically created based off what you put in this node right here called project root. What do you put in this node? Well, after you download this folder, which you can access right here, wherever you put that folder on your computer, whatever path that ends up being, that's what you're going to set right here in this first node. So for example, I have it on my desktop here. And all of this makes this project highly reproducible. It saves you so much work if you want to run this on your own computer. And lastly, for this section, these nodes right here set the start and end date to use for the workflow. As you already know, for us, that's the start of 2018 and the end of 2025. And setting those dates as flow variables, one, made it so that when we were making the workflow, we didn't have to keep remembering those dates. And two, you can change those dates if you want. Maybe by 2030, some new iPhones will come out and you want to see if those iPhone launches are going to affect the results of the study. All right, so now we got all that set. And importantly, we have the path set where the workflow is going to grab the raw data on your computer. We're going to get that data and take it through some pre-processing, because we need to make sure that this data is clean and consistent before we do anything with it or draw any conclusions from it. You'll see a lot of things in this section that are familiar to the data pre-processing we've done in class, like making sure data is the right type, renaming columns to make everything human readable and consistent, filtering out everything except what we want, which is the date, the closing price, and the volume. We don't want all this other stuff. And we want to filter out all the data that isn't in the date range we want. That's where those start and end date flow variables from before come into play. We export this cleaned up data with these CSV writers right here. Now, we want to get all that clean data in one place, in one big table, so we can analyze it and compare things and all that good stuff. So that's why we have these joiners here. We also want to derive some things from the data. We need the return, so we use a return formula. We need the absolute return, so we make that return absolute. And we also extract the year and the weekday for each date. That's going to matter a lot when we create our matching non-event days, our matching regular days, and you'll see just how later. So now we have all the clean data of Apple stock, QQQ, and VIX in one place, in one table. Shows up right here. And then we introduce the event dates right here. We're going to join these data sets. And we're going to do some other things to set the stage for how we're going to make our final list, our final data set of iPhone launch days or event dates and similar regular dates or matching non-event dates. So let's get into these other things. First, we're going to see if there are any iPhone launch days that aren't on a trading day, in which case we're going to take the data of the first next trading day. Also, we're going to make a bunch of flag columns with 1 or 0 that say, hey, this is an event date. Or, hey, this date cannot be used as a matching regular date. It cannot be used as a matching non-event date because it's too close to the iPhone launch date. And so now that we have flagged what's an iPhone launch day versus what's a regular day, we're going to use those flags to split up the data into two tables. A table with our event dates and a table with our regular days, our non-event dates. And we do that because our regular dates, our non-event dates, our non-iPhone launch dates are about to go through a lot of filtering because we want to get just some regular days that are similar to the event date in many ways so that we can take out some confounding variables. You'll see just what I mean in a second. First, we're going to make sure that they're the same weekday and year as the iPhone launch date we're comparing them to. Let's say an iPhone launch date is Friday. We don't want to compare it to every Friday that year. That would be a bit much. We want to compare it to just 5 other Fridays that year. And how do we determine those 5 other Fridays? We're going to choose the 5 Fridays with the most similar VIX level. In other words, the 5 Fridays that year with the most similar market volatility as the iPhone launch date. And we do this because we want to eliminate market volatility as a confounding variable. It makes sure that if we do see a change in volume or absolute return in the iPhone launch days, it's because of the iPhone launch and not because the market just happened to be more volatile that day. So we get these 5 matching regular non-event days by first calculating the difference between the VIX for regular days and their corresponding iPhone launch days. And then here we take out everything except the 5 days where the difference between the VIX that day and the corresponding iPhone launch date is the smallest. So the market volatility was most similar those days to the day of the iPhone launch we're comparing them to. And now that we have our set of matching regular days, matching non-event days to compare with our event days, our iPhone launch days, we join back the iPhone launch days with the regular days or the event days with the non-event days to make this CSV right here. This takes us to our last section. So in that previous section I just covered, when we combined the iPhone launch day rows, the event day rows with the matching regular day rows, the matching non-event day rows, what you didn't see was that a few duplicate columns were created in the process. So to keep everything neat and tidy, we get rid of them right here. And that is how we get our analysis ready data set, which we export right here so you can see the exact data used for the final analysis. And we use that data set to get our final results, to run some regressions with controls QQQ and VIX, and then lastly to run some quality control checks. And you'll see all these results, findings, and final outputs in the next section of our presentation.